Hello, everybody. I hope all finds you well. It's so lovely to have you here. For those of you who are in Adelaide, you'll know it's 15 degrees and it is raining, so it's lovely to be inside. And welcome to our lunchtime chat. Hello, girls. How are you? It's so good to see you here.
Hello.
Oh, it's fantastic. Okay, so welcome to the Healing Through Love show. We're here today to increase awareness within the community about providing family and domestic violence survivors with a soft place to land and to offer advice on services available to these survivors and their families.
And we have many local businesses and service people who generously pay it forward at our Pamper Days by providing their time and their resources at these events.
And each week on this show, what we do is we interview a couple of those wonderful supporters of our Pamper Days to learn more about their personal journeys, why they're supporting Healing Through Love to assist survivors, and about their businesses.
Excellent. And today we have two incredible guests even lined up for you. Today we've got Derrick McManus and Karina Chapman. Today we're going to start with Derrick McManus. Now, Derrick was a Star Group police officer, and he was shot 14 times in less than 5 seconds, lying on the ground for 3 hours with massive injuries. The doctors say that he came within 30 seconds of death due to the massive blood loss. He returned to full sniper recovery driver and counter-terrorism duties within 2.5 years of rehab. Derrick now is the only person as a world-class authority in going beyond resilience and sustaining optimal performance. He runs the Australian Centre of Human Durability and works with the Uni SA of Psychology and the Art and the Australian Centre of Excellence for Post-Traumatic Stress. And he's collaborating with them on his research. Today, he's going to share with us the 5 drivers of success. So the girls are going to pop off the screen and Derrick's going to pop on. It's just like magic. I know Derrick is going to pop on. It's that quick. Okay. So hello, Derrick. How are you?
Good. How are you? Great to be here.
Oh, it's so good to see you. It just seems like yesterday I saw you.
It does seem like that, doesn't
it? Derrick, so thank you so much for being in this space of healing through love. I would really love you to just tell us a little bit about your story. I'm absolutely fascinated about your 5 drivers for success.
Yeah, the story is obviously one that captures people's attention just by the fact that I was shot 14 times in less than 5 seconds as part of my duties with Star Group. We went out to arrest an offender who clearly didn't want to be arrested. He started shooting, fired 18 times in less than 5 seconds, hit me 14 times. I was then lying on the ground for 3 hours before they could get me out. Now, I had massive injuries. I was bleeding profusely, but I wasn't overwhelmed by the situation as it happened at that time. It took me by surprise, definitely, but I prepared myself to give myself the best chance of success. So it wasn't about going to resilience and bouncing back. I'd already anticipated this could happen. So I had some expectation of what I expected myself to perform at an optimal level. Obviously, I wasn't going to be at peak level, but what was my optimum in those circumstances, and how can I then lift it back out? Now, this has become what is the basis for human durability. And it's not just a physical ability to recover or deal with a physical thing. 3 months after the shooting, now I was lying on the ground for 3 hours. I was 2.5 years in physical recovery, and people expected me to be in psychological therapy for decades. But 3 months after the shooting, I went and saw one of the top trauma sites.
Now, Derrick's just slipped off the page for a minute, but he was going to be talking to you then just about going through that therapy. And, you know, guys, if you've had a life-changing moment, can I just suggest that you do really need to lean in, step up and have a chat to the experts. It's not something that we are designed as humans to handle by ourselves. You do need to seek the expert authority. And Derrick is an expert authority in moving forward and bouncing back. So I'm looking forward for him joining us and sharing the rest of his story. I'm unsure as to why he's popped away, but it probably is technical issues. Just so you know, here in Adelaide, it is bucketing down. That sound in the background is actually water running over my drains all over to the pavement out the front door. It is absolutely bucketing here in Adelaide, so that might have something to do with it. Now, I know myself, guys, in my recovery, that I needed to seek help. And, just asking friends and family, yes, that's great. That does relieve the pain. And unless they've gone through the same challenges as you, they're not going to have the right language and the right level of expertise to help you move forward. So I implore you, reach out and speak to people who are expert authorities in their space so that they can make a difference for you. And I know for myself as a recovering alcoholic, a recovering hoarder, challenges with mental health, including ADD and OCD and self-harm and a range of other things, the list is too long to explain today, is that I needed to actually seek expert authority in different areas, not just the one. And actually later on today, we're going to be interviewing Karina Chapman, and she's actually my dating coach. So for me to stop the cycle of abuse, not only did I need to work on myself, but I needed to shine a light on what I was doing in my space and made sure that I kept inviting the wrong type of person into my life and having this reoccurring issue with domestic violence. Now, Derrick, I'm not quite sure where you are and why you've popped away, but I'm absolutely fascinated to know about your 5 drivers of success. I was privileged enough to sit down and have coffee with Derrick the other day and have a great conversation about his story. It's absolutely fascinating. Can you imagine being in a space where you were just seconds from death? And in fact, I'm sure he'll explain that the experts that were there on the scene were convinced that he wasn't going to make it. So, how do you work your way through a process like that to be able to move forward and bounce back completely? Because, hello, Derrick, how are you? I was just having a gentle conversation about our coffee the other day and you explaining to me, but we're absolutely waiting for you to explain the 5 drivers because that's where I got up to in the conversation, which I was having without you in the room.
And I don't know what the tech issue was because I was listening to every word you said while I was reconnecting again. So I went into therapy with a psych, and he literally cleared me 3 months after the shooting to psychologically go back to work the next day. So I didn't actually suffer any PTSD, any depression, anxiety in relation to the shooting because of the way I had dealt with it. Now, I know that we've lost a little bit of time, so instead of going deeper into that story and the background, I'd really like to look at those 5 drivers because these 5 drivers were certainly what I had in place before the shooting. They allowed me to deal with the shooting and they allowed me to deal with the aftermath of the shooting. And they're highly applicable for people going through domestic violence or family violence in any sort of circumstances, whether it's physical, whether it's emotional, whether it's financial, whether it's social, whatever it might be. These 5 drivers really can help. And the first one is optimism. We've got to have a sense of optimism for the future. We've got to believe there is something better out there and we're willing to do what it takes to have that better option. If there's nothing better that you can see in the future, well, we may as well just give up. So we've got to have this sense of optimism. Now, optimism is more important than hope. It's more proactive than hope. Hope is passive. Hope is, I hope somebody's going to change. I hope somebody will do something. I hope. But optimism is a belief that there is something that we can do, that we can change it. So optimism is the first one. The second one is belief. We've got to have a belief that we can influence those circumstances. Now, it may be this much influence or it may be this much influence, whatever it might be, but we've got to have a belief that we can influence them in some way. Now, the way we go about getting this influence comes from the other 3 drivers, but it's certainly driven by that optimism in the first part. The third one is passion. It is a passion for having something, and certainly in the DV family violence type arena, it's a passion for having something better than the circumstances you're in. Nobody deserves to be in those circumstances. I have been in those circumstances myself where I didn't have a great relationship. It wasn't terrible, but it wasn't great. And it was a DV type scenario, and I decided to get out of it myself. But I certainly had to have a passion for what I saw as a better life in the future. I'm still great friends with that partner that I had at the time. So it doesn't mean that you have to get them out of your life, but you just need to know where they fit. But it's got to be that passion that drives you, because I knew that there was a better life for me, and that's the life I wanted, and I was prepared to chase it. So the fourth one is planning. Now, we can go into all sorts of planning, and certainly when I do some one-on-one coaching with people, that's what we get into the depths of. But the basics of planning is some idea of what you're going to deal with, some idea of how you're going to deal with it. And it really is that simple at a starting level. Once you get into the planning deeper and deeper, you can get more and more intricate. But if you've got some idea of what you're going to deal with, some idea of how you're going to deal with it, it allows you to take a step forward straight away. You don't go into, oh my gosh, how do I deal with this? What do I do now? And that's procrastination and going backwards. Some idea of what you're going to deal with, some idea of how you're going to deal with it, and you are proactive and you are moving forward. It may not be a perfect move forward, but once you're starting to move forward, that momentum will continue. And the last one is probably the most important and the hardest to find in the DV space because of insecurities we have in ourselves, but it's being prepared to throw your hand in the air and say, I need support. And there are a wealth of people around, a plethora of people around the place with a wealth of knowledge and how they can support you. But they can't support you unless you throw your hand in the air and say, hey, listen, I need support. And then you are open for it. Now, it's not about saying I need support and then you sit back and wait for people to do stuff. You've still got to be the driver of those things. And it's every one of those 5 drivers that really makes it important. But the bottom line to it all is that we've got to have open, honest and confronting conversations with ourselves. And there's a little analogy that I'd like to talk about. And it comes out of America when one of the cities was going through a revamp. Their industrial area was going through a downsurge, and some of the factories were left open. And kids were going through and smashing windows in these vacant factories. And they found that the factories that didn't fix the broken windows kept on getting more and more and more broken windows because it appeared that nobody cared, so the kids just kept on going. The factories that did repair each broken window as it appeared, then they actually got much less. They didn't stop completely, but they certainly got much less broken windows on an ongoing basis. And the analogy there is that those things that you pay attention to, those things that you care about, will be looked after. Once things start to happen, if you don't address them, they will continue and they will get worse. And this is the same in DV. If we address the issue straight up, we have some idea of what our optimistic outlook is. What is the relationship we want? We believe that we can do something to influence it. We're passionate about it, not just for ourselves, but for our family, for the rest of the people we interact with. We've got some idea of what we're going to deal with, some idea of how we're going to deal with it, and we're willing to throw our hand in the air and say, I need support, then we can actually address those issues in the early stages so that the behaviours are not repeated and become endemic in that situation. And at some stage, if it does become recurrent, then we need to make a decision to change our circumstances. Whole huge variety of how you change circumstances. The biggest one is to move away, but the best one is to certainly get the offender to change their behaviours. And there are lots of strategies we can talk about in relation to that. But the 5 drivers, understanding that you need to be proactive very, very early on and get on the front foot is really, really important.
That's fantastic, Derrick. Thank you so much for sharing today the 5 drivers, and I love them. They're all things that I hold very dear to my heart. Now, I know, because we've had the privilege of working together both as professional public speakers, you've got so much more to offer and so much more to talk about, because your keynotes, well, you do half-day workshops, and also an hour-long keynote. So we would really love to have you back in this space to share some more of your amazing tips and techniques on how people can live a more abundant life and move forward. And I love everything that you do, Derrick. It is fantastic. Thank you so much for coming to Healing Through Love and helping us in this space.
And I absolutely love being here, and I love talking to people on this topic. But you're right, there are so many things we can go into that will empower people and give them greater belief in what they can do. And we can do it in workshops, or we can do it in one-on-one, whatever works for people. But I'd love to come back and talk with you again.
And Derrick, we'd love to have you. Now, your information is rolling across the bottom of the screen. We love BeLive TV with his details and him. I'm just reading it now, the LinkedIn and also the website. We'll also make sure that information is in the body of the post for today's show. And we'll obviously share that from Mytimetv page onto our Healing Through Love as well. So thank you again very much, Derrick, for being with us. And we look forward to having you as a guest again very shortly. Guys, we're going to go to a commercial break because we are sponsored here by BeLive TV, which is an application, and then also Mytimetv, which is where we're streaming from. We couldn't do what we do without these guys because they support us completely, and we love what they do. They have so many interesting things to show you in that space. So if you're looking for a bit of intelligent television, some stuff that's good for the soul, some things that you can learn things and also interactive because of the nature of BeLive TV, guys, make sure that you stay, like, and follow Mytimetv. Okay, guys, on to the commercial break. Hello, everybody. Hope all finds you well, and welcome back to the second part of our show. I would like to introduce you to our second guest, Karina Chapman. And whilst I was treading water during our technical difficulties, I was explaining to you that Karina Chapman is actually my dating coach. Yes, I believe that we need coaches in all areas of our lives, just like I have a dance coach, I have a dating coach, I have a money manifestation coach as well. I have a speaking coach. I have a coach who actually helps me with launching my my online products as well. So not one person does everything. So it's great to have a coach in each area. I want to tell you a little bit about Karina Chapman. Born in country South Australia, Karina Chapman is an Adelaide-based author, speaker, and has always loved communicating and connecting with people, whether it be through the spoken word or through written word. She's the creator of the Vixen Retreats and the author of Vixen's Secret Handbook series. Her fictional novels are written under the name KM Chapman. Adventure Vixen is now out, and her second book, International Vixen, will be released soon. Girls, I just got to say, they are my guilty pleasure. I love them. It's a great escape, and I revisit them. Even though they're designed to actually read them once, I've gone back and read them several times. They're absolutely beautiful. She's a certified mindfulness instructor. She's a volunteer for Healing Through Love Pamper Days and a mentor with the Launch Me SA program. Karina loves to spend time helping people grow along their life's journey. And today she's here to talk with us about conscious dating. And this is a really, about getting back in the saddle, guys, getting back on. If you've been affected or you've been in that space, this is something that we might shy away from, or we have those repetitive challenges, I should say, where we're dating the wrong type of guy or girl in that case. So Karina, hello and welcome to talk about conscious dating.
Thanks, Charlene. Yes, it certainly is a topic that is a little bit new, I suppose, because we're all caught in that traditional way of dating. We see a person, we think, he looks okay, start having a chat, and before you know it, we're in a relationship without much thought at all. So we're really kind of unconsciously dating at the moment, going for the looks, a little bit of chat, and then boom, we're in a relationship. So what's the difference in conscious dating, you might ask? So if we're going to be consciously dating, then we are consciously looking for things in a man that would satisfy us long term. So what are the traits that are important to you? What are the characteristics or the interests that you would like a life partner to have? Most of us aren't even conscious of these things or the answers to these things. So if we don't know the answers to these things, how could we possibly draw the right man or recognize him if we come across him? So I found that, for too long we've been told to find Mr. Right. But maybe what we really need to be finding is ourselves first. Because once we found ourselves and we know what it is that we really want to attract into our lives, then that can actually start happening. If we're not aware of what it is that we really would love, how would we recognize it? How can we attract it? So conscious dating is really about being aware of the things that are important to you, who you are, and having that clarity that, you know, who it is that you want to bring in, what are the things that are important to you, and what you will and won't accept. What are the deal breakers that you might have? You know, where are red flags that you might have seen before that you can look out for again? So being conscious will then allow us to change our mindset. It'll change what we're looking for. We're not just looking for that good-looking outer shell. We're looking for the thing that's really important, which is the inner shell. You know, who are they inside? What are their beliefs? What are their values? You know, what do they hold dear? How do they treat their friends and family? How do they treat you? And more importantly, how do they make you feel? Are you feeling loved and cherished, important, supported, respected, or not? You know, what have we had before in our relationships that we don't want to carry forward into the next? So with being more conscious, we can change the patterns from the past and start creating new beliefs around ourselves, new knowledge on, you know, what it is that we want and who we are. And then that clarity can help us to move forward in the dating arena. Once we've got clarity, we can create the vision of what it is that we want as well. So creating the vision means, you know, how does this person make me feel? What are the emotions that I want to feel in a relationship? Do I want to feel safe, secure, loved, excited? You know, there's so many different things, and nothing is right or wrong. Everything is different for each person, and that's what you need to discover is, you know, what are the things that really are going to add to your life in a partner to make you more than perhaps, you know, what you could have been with someone that wasn't supportive. So conscious dating is around that, and it's about helping us to find Mr. Right, definitely. But really first it's about helping us to find ourselves. And, you know, research shows that over 45% of adults are single. So we must be doing something wrong. So, I mean, there was a time when I was in a relationship where I thought that he was my soulmate. And after maybe a period of around 6 years of enduring having to walk on eggshells because I wasn't sure of what his mood would be, even though, you know, he was having mental health issues, I needed to support him. When it got towards the end, it was like, how long do I stay? How much of myself do I give here? Is this really the Mr. Right that I had envisioned for myself, or the relationship that I wanted to create in my life? And the answer was no. So how could I change that and not repeat the same thing from the past? And it definitely was. The answer was that I needed to find myself first. And once I had found myself and gained the clarity that I needed around what it was that I wanted in a supportive, loving relationship that was meaningful to me and that would add to my life, then I was able to move forward, to make better choices, and to even recognise those that weren't right for me much earlier. So I didn't have to spend so much time. I mean, we all know how long it can take to form even one connection. You know, it can be hours of chatting before you meet someone, perhaps, you know, if you're chatting online, and then you meet in person and realise that they're not reflecting the same person as they were online. So, you know, are their actions and words matching? Is this person truly who they say they are? How can we find out? And that's what I like to help people with. You know, what are the signs? What do we look for? You know, what are the things that are important to you, and how will you recognise that in someone else? So that's what I love helping with my clients, is to help them to get that clarity that they need to be able to consciously date, to find what it is that they're looking for. And, you know, not everybody is looking for Mr. Right. Some people are just looking for Mr. Right now, and that's okay too. Because, you know, it's a process of learning about ourselves. So until we really know what it is that we want and who we are, then there are going to be Mr. Wrongs that we date, or Mr. Right Nows. But the point is, it's a learning process. There's always something that we can learn from each experience that we have. And each man that we go on a date with, whether it's a 1 hour coffee date, whether it's a couple of weeks, or whether it's a couple of years, there's something to learn about them, about yourself, and about what it is that you want to attract into your life and what that life that you envision looks like. So once we've got that clarity and we've dated a few Mr. Right Nows or Mr. Wrongs, then finally we can be open to finding that Mr. Right.
I love it, and I have to say, Karina, I love working with you as my dating coach. You've made you've made it quite an adventure, and it is. It's like one of the books. It's absolutely fantastic, and you've really given me an opportunity to hold that mirror to myself to see where the patterns are and how they repeated, and why it is that I've been attracting the wrong people into my life, or the right people at the wrong time. Yeah. So now I know that you've got some exciting things happening that the girls that are listening to today might be interested in. So Karina's just launching her very new, this is a group program. So it's a Facebook group, and it's all around conscious dating and dating Mr. Wrong to find Mr. Right. And I know that you've got your webinar series, which is just about to be launched. So there's going to be some fantastic webinars. To find out more about those, you want to be in the group. And we'll also advertise them as well for the girls in this space. And we've also got a course coming up. So a 6-week dating course, which is amazing. So I know myself and a few of my girlfriends are going to be joining with that one as well. So how do they find out more about you, Karina, particularly number one, to join the Facebook group, and then also to keep an eye out for the webinar and also the course that's coming up?
Absolutely. So the Facebook group that I have is called Vixens of Light, and we'll pop the link in below for you as well in the comments. And the webinar that we've got coming up, which is a free around 1 hour, is what we're looking at to do, and that is on the 26th of August. So it's only a couple of weeks away. And if you want to join into the group, we'll certainly be advertising it there and having the link for it. But we'll also be putting it, around further on Facebook. And more details will be shared as well at the webinar around the 6-week course. And that's sort of really broken into those key 5 C's that I think are important. Being conscious, working towards change, getting that clarity that you really need, creating a new vision for yourself and a new guide, and then having that courage to step forward and to move in a new direction and try something new. So that's what we'll be talking about. And, I'm just so excited to be able to share it with everybody and see the growth. And, definitely come on into the Facebook group. We've got, interaction there. We want to share dating stories. We want, everybody to connect more as single women as well, because when we become single, we lose that friendship group sometimes. If it's someone that you're with for a long time, you've often got couple friends. So to be able to connect with single women that are in the same situation as you, having the same issues, the same problems, or the same successes, then I think it's a really great thing to bring everyone together under this platform so we can all support each other while we're, trying to figure out who we are, what we want, and, how we're going to go out there and get it.
I love it. I'm so excited, and I really enjoy the process of working with you. It's been a wonderful, wonderful journey. Okay, guys. Well, that's our show today. Wow, we've had 2 different groups here today. We've been talking about resilience, and we've also been talking about conscious dating. So much happens in this space on Healing Through Love show, and we've got some fantastic guests for next week as well. If you're listening to us today and you would like to have a conversation with us on the show, we would really enjoy to interview you in this space. And if you're one of our fabulous members who's contributing to our next Pamper Day, which will be in May now, we would love to have you interviewed in this space to support your business and to show our support to you for the work that you do for Healing Through Love. So today I'd like to really thank Karina Chapman and Derrick McManus. And if you'd like to be involved with Healing Through Love, either as an exhibitor or as a volunteer, please reach out and let us know, because we're always looking for volunteers. Contact us through our Facebook group, Healing Through Love. Hello, girls. They're coming back in, Healing Through Love SA, or email HTL, so that's Healing Through Love Adelaide at gmail.com. And be sure to join us next week at 1 o'clock. Okay, guys, bye till then.